Shuvah Yisrael at Havaya Elokecha. Return Israel until Havaya Elokecha. Three questions. Why does it say return until Havaya Elokecha? Seemingly what it means is return to God, right? You're returning to God. You're not returning until God. So returning to Havaya Elokecha. But that's not what it says. It says ad, until. That was question one. Question two is, why do I need Havaya and Elokecha? Those are two names for Hashem. Why do I need both? And the third is, why does the pasuk go on to say, Ki kashalt b'vonecha? Because you stumbled in sin. Well, I mean, I'm not returning because I was really good, obviously. If I'm returning, I understand I did something wrong. So, why rub it in? What's the point of saying those words? Those were the three questions. And then we started explaining the concept of Havaya Elokecha. Because we started explaining the difference between Havaya and Elokecha. Of course, we know in general, Havaya and Elokim. But here we were getting very specific and focused on Havaya as representative of Aseh Tov, doing good, and Elokecha, Elokim, and Sormei Ra, and turning from bad. So Havaya, Elokecha, Havaya, the energy of Aseh Tov, do good, Elokecha, Elokim, the energy of Sormei Ra. We didn't yet see the connection of Aseh Tov and Sormei Ra to Havaya and Elokecha, but that's what we're developing in this ice. Havaya and Elokim as Havaya as beyond. Havaya haya haya v'yeh ke'echad, past, present, and future all one. So beyond time and space, beyond creation. And Elokecha, Elokim, as the koyach, as the energy, as the power, as the strength of creation, which roughly we could call Havaya symbolizing our Sovev, and Elokecha, Elokim, or Mimaleh. So Havaya, like Sovev, is the idea of remote. That's not our world. Our world is a world of boxes, of rigidity, of time and space. Time was, is, will be space, here, there. Havaya, means beyond time, which sort of time and space go together. So I guess beyond time and space. So that's like Sovev, which is beyond, which is encompassing. And Elokim, power invested within creation, means invested within the strictures, the limits of time and space. And we said, and this was the last point we got to, that might be an unusual thought for us to envision all of creation within the strictures of time and space, because we think of time and space as like our physical reality. We know besides our physical reality, everything else is spiritual. So in all the spiritual realities, what's time, what's space? I mean, we're bound by time and space, but I mean, Atzilus isn't, right? There's no space or time there. But we're told no, subtly, all of creation has time and space. Not time and space like it means for us on planet Earth, but a dimension of time and a dimension of space. We even said that the original Kav, this primordial energy of creation, in a very subtle way has within it what could be called space and what could be called time. So every spiritual creation has some spiritual reality of time and some spiritual reality of space, which all is Elokim. It's all the power, the strength, the root force of creation. And Havaya, Havaya ke'echad, is beyond that. And continuing, this was exactly what we're up to. Even in Havaya, we see a dimension of time. So I'm saying Havaya v'yeh, right? This means like past, present, and future, was, is, and will be. Well, was, is, and will be implies time. So even in Havaya, there's something of time. True. Because again, it's something of an energy that from which will eventually descend what will eventually become the strictures, the limits of time and space. But by Havaya, it's ke'echad. No differentiation. So there's something, like some trace of a connection to the limits of creation, beyond those limits. Like some awareness of time. Hayah means you are aware of time. But ke'echad, I'm not affected by time. I'm not limited by time. And again, time and space are like intersecting modalities. So if there's an awareness of time but not affected by time, that would mean there's an awareness of space but not affected by space. But Elokim, in contrast, is already within the box. It's God within the boxes. As we're saying, Sovev versus Mimaleh. Havaya as Sovev. Sovev is beyond. Sovev is remote. Sovev is this huge energy. But Mimaleh means the energy got small enough to get within the boxes. So if there's a reality of time and space, Elokim is like affected by it because it's getting within the boxes of creation. So creation says here and not there and now and not then. Elokim, it's a dimension of God. It's one of the 7 Shemos. It's one of the 7 names of Hashem. But it's a name that's affected and limited and within the strictures of creation. So that's Havaya and Elokim. So the Rebbe, developing this more, explains it's sort of like, and again, these are a little bit of nuanced, subtle ideas. So if I'm not giving them over clearly, feel free to question. Because the Rebbe here is developing, 2 topics we know, Havaya and Elokim. But the Rebbe is like taking it, pushing it a bit more. Sovev and Mimaleh, but pushing it a bit more. And the Rebbe says, if we're looking at Sovev and Mimaleh, which is another way of saying we're looking at Havaya and Elokim, the difference could be viewed as, is creation, I'm going to use the word significant, though the Rebbe didn't use that word, but almost like, is creation the pulse? Is creation the focus or not? In Mimaleh, there's a hislapshus. There's an investment of the energy within this thing that is creation, which means creation's the power here. Creation's the power, and this godly energy is nislabesh. It's garbed within it because creation, is important. It is the thing. It is the focus. So there's a hislapshus, an investment of God's energy for it to be. Well, yeah, what else will be? Sovev. Well, what's happening there? The Rebbe says by Sovev, there isn't a hislapshus. Oh, what's the difference? I don't get these terms. These are just terms. These are just words. What does this mean? The Rebbe says what it means is if you have a natural expression of your energy, which causes things to be, but that's not even so really important. The point is you are expressing energy. And if you express energy, things happen. I'm trying to think of a mashal because these are very I want to make sure this is real and not just a bunch of words. But the Rebbe says it's like the expression of your soul, your ratzon, your will. It would be like the difference is, I'm trying to make this really clear. This is what I'm coming up with in my brain, but it's probably a very poor example. Do you like to bake and therefore you're making the cake because you enjoy baking, or are you making the cake because you have company and therefore you've got to put food out for them? See the difference? Did that make any sense to anyone? You could raise your finger if it did, raise a hand if it did.
Can you apply it to the nimshal now?
Well, I just want to make sure that you understood the difference in the mashal. In the mashal, there's company coming, there's no food. Okay, let me run in the kitchen and make something. When I'm running in the kitchen and making something, the emphasis, the dagesh, the point is the food. There's a need for the food, so I'm running into the kitchen to make the food because I have company coming, probably in about a minute.
You're being affected by something extrinsic to you, basically.
Right, and that's the significance. That's the dagesh. That's the emphasis. I need the food.
It's not an expression
I'm a
of me.
baker, some kids like to, not me, some people like to potchki in the kitchen because they make the food. Someone's going to go and eat it. But they're making because they enjoy the process of baking, and enjoying the process of baking, in the end of the day, there's food. So you see the difference in the mashal between those two things. Okay.
That's called a Sovev baker. I got it. Okay. Yeah, that's me tomorrow.
So Mimaleh.
So which one is which?
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Which one is Mimaleh?
Mimaleh is I love baking. I enjoy the process. I'm expressing my what? No.
Mimaleh is, I guess it wasn't a good mashal.
The detail.
The was with me the whole time, and then
I got it backwards.
Mimaleh is the emphasis is on hislapshus, is on the product, is on creation. Creation necessitates a minimization of R because the point is a creation. Creation is what's the main thing. I need the food.
Oh, really? I got it backwards?
It's not like I need to bake. I have no need to bake. I need to be more in the kitchen? No. But I'm opening my pantry as if I'm kids open a fridge and close the fridge 3 times, because for sure by the 3rd time there'll be something there that wasn't there the first 2 times, open, close, open, close, open, close. No, it's the same thing it was the last 2
Only
times.
kids do that?
No, I have older kids, so they all do that. Come on. So there's no food. I have people. I gotta make the food. It's not me, I love cooking. It's like I got to put the food. So Mimaleh
But
is
then,
creation. Sovev is there's a natural expression of God's energy. You know what happens because of that natural expression of energy? Creation. But the emphasis isn't on creation. The
so
emphasis is
Mimaleh,
God's energy is flowing.
so it seems like Mimaleh, even though the focus is on creation, it's not, at least according to the mashal,
My
it's
poor
like less,
Mashalia.
it's
I
like
don't know.
less, it's like kila yad. It's like you don't really want it.
No, Mimaleh, you want it. Mimaleh, you're
No, you're
delighted.
not really enjoying
Cyril,
to,
I don't
you don't really
think of
enjoy
another
doing it.
example.
Okay, we're
Maybe
getting
it's not the best
too far down.
example.
Yeah, well, once we start talking about cooking, we can all of
Stuck.
our emotions about cooking.
No, because the way the muscle, what the muscle makes you feel like women, it just makes it feel like Mimaleh is the lesser. I guess that
It
works
is lesser.
because it is the
It is
lesser.
lesser. Yeah, it is lesser. So that's good if it's feeling that way. It is lesser.
But I don't know.
Because
Mimaleh
it
is okay.
doesn't.
Let me think of a different muscle, but I'm going to get stuck. I'm not going to get any better. So maybe some muscle comes better. Leah came up with a gorgeous muscle last week. Remember, Leah, your idea of the fetus, how within the fetus is everything that will come later. So this is open. I have no, praetorial rights on anything here. Mimaleh means the energy of Hashem is small enough and limited enough because there's something called creation that has to happen. The energy is nislabish in creation. It's limiting itself because creation needs to be. So the focus is on creation. But by Sovev, there's a detachment from creation. Sovev is much bigger than that. So isn't Sovev a process of creation? Haven't we always learned of Sovev as the power of creation? Like traditionally, if I was talking about Mimaleh and Sovev and I was explaining it in some class, like if it came in on the side, in terms of creation, I would say Sovev is the big power, existence, and Mimaleh is fashioning the details of existence.
Could I try a different example? It just
Sure.
popped in my head. Okay, I mean, because the way I always learned it was that Mimaleh is that the light, it fits the keli. It fits the keli. It's expressed within the parameters of the keli. And whereas Sovev, the light doesn't really, doesn't really fit the keli. It sort of like influences the keli in a kind of I don't know what's the word, Sovev kind of way. So I was thinking like this. So maybe possibly an example of Mimaleh Kolamin experience could be, let's say, a girl who goes to yeshiva. She's gone, for several years. She learned about what Yom Tov means, what the Yamin Tovi means, Rosh Hashanah, whatever. She absorbed it. She absorbed it. She internalized it. She's excited about it. She shows up in shul for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. She's interested in it. She opens her, she's involved in it because the light is filling her kalim. And next to her, maybe in down the aisle, is a woman who is not, not, it wasn't, didn't have much of an education, and was driving around on the street, and then all of a sudden, like, she kind of like had this feeling that she needed to go to shul today. She sort of remembered, wow, it's Yom Kippur, and she ended up going to the Chabad shul, as we know sometimes happens, and she's sitting there, and she doesn't even really know why she's there, because, like, I'm not a religious person. Like, what am I doing here? I don't really know why I'm doing here. I just kind of like felt something pulling me from the outside, sort of. So the light isn't really like fully expressed. She's opening up the siddur. She doesn't really know what she's saying. She doesn't even really know why she's there. It's just the light was somehow greater than her kalim, but still managed to influence her in a Soviet kind of way. So that's kind of like how I picture it. Maybe it's not, that's not also the best.
That wouldn't be the point here. I'm
Okay.
trying to think to show you. I'm trying to look at your vision of Mimaleh and understand how that would, like, I'm trying to think to play with that, because the contrast, we want to take the same storyline. So your storyline of Mimaleh is the person who is, within. She is within. What would that mean by Sovev? How would we play that storyline of Sovev? Anyone could help me out here. If you can do this, you really got the idea. Anyone wants to figure this one out, take Yonah Rivka's mashal and make it work.
Rabbi
I feel like
Paul always used to say, don't translate it as Mimaleh is like within and Sovev is without. He would say Mimaleh means the light is revealed within the keli, and Sovev means the light is not fully revealed within the keli. That's one way of looking at it that he liked to use. Just another.
I think if I'm understanding the differences that your mushals and everything, it's in the perspective of the keli,
how it influences the keli,
and as the but the mushal that Mrs. Stern was bringing was more about the Hashem, the source of the light, how much of the light is being, from that perspective, maybe. I think.
Yeah, I'm just trying to take out. I don't know. This is a really hard one, Yonah Rivka. I'm trying to take your mashal and make it Sovev, and I'm just being not so creative. Shani, let's hear it. Save us here.
I'll try. Could it be that a Sovev kind of person would be like, I don't need to daven with words. I'm gonna stay at home. The energy of the holiday. I don't even need to come to shul. It almost like it doesn't need the shul and it doesn't need the davening and it doesn't need the master.
But could we say that? Okay, so let's start with Shani. This person.
She's just in touch with the energy.
I don't even need shul. I'm just naturally connecting. And continuing our storyline, as this woman is talking to Hashem and singing her praises to Hashem, such beauty comes out that all the people around, all the women, of course, Kol Isha, are just drawn in, and they are pulled in to start davening. They are davening from her expression of energy, while she herself is like just talking to Hashem. Yeah, thank you, Shani. That's cool. I knew someone was going to save me. That's the point. In Sovev, it's easier for us to think of Mimaleh, because we understand Mimaleh. But what's Sovev? Sovev is, again, Sovev is, like Shirley said, hey, it sounds a lot higher. Yeah. It's remote from the product. It's not the product. It's just a joy in the process of self-expression. And the process of self-expression happens to lead to creation.
Mm-hmm.
It's an expression of your ratzon. You're expressing your ratzon. And by the way, expressing your ratzon means creation. But it's not like I need creation. It's not like I want creation. It's not like I'm thinking about creation. I'm just expressing my ratzon. So the Eibishter, God, as he's expressing his will, as he's expressing his light, I think of like Cheney said, of this person who's just in her house and just naturally flowing, picking up, very intuitively the energies of the holiday. She needs a siddur, she needs a machzor, she needs a shul, she needs a shofar, she needs kriyas haTorah. She doesn't need any of that stuff. She's beyond it all, but what she's accomplishing is more than all of that. So it's like our essence expression of will, and because of that expression of will, creation happens. So it's not so much the dagesh on the creation. My energy is not nislavish in creation. I'm just into expressing my will. And because I express my will, creation happens.
I saw something about my name.
I like that. You're singing in your shower.
I was thinking of it in terms of dancing,
Yes. So you're dancing, just expression of self, and someone else is watching and recording all your moves because an amazing dance comes out. Perfect.
And then you're like, wait, what? I did that?
I did that?
I don't know. I'll have to try it tomorrow. I'll see if it works.
Yeah, those are actually the best mashalim because they're capturing the concept of the creative process. Right? There's a creative process here. So when you're just dancing in your kitchen and singing in your kitchen, you're not thinking like, oh, I've got a deadline, I've got a song I got to produce. They're making a performance, and I was supposed to teach them the dance that I have no clue what it is 3 days ago. So I'm just doing my thing. But Baruch Hashem, there's some video camera going on. Someone's watching me and capturing all the notes and all the moves, and they work with it, and they focus on that, and that becomes the dance and the song. But me, I was just doing my thing. I'm creative. I'm not, production line oriented. Yeah, that's a really great mashal. That's a perfect mashal for it, because that really captures this idea of Sovev as like expressing who God is, expressing what he wants, which happens to be creation. Like, eventually. Not my focus. It's not my focus. Right? Like thinking of creating that dance or creating that song. You're not trying to create the dance or song. You're just singing. You're just dancing. But what comes from just singing or dancing is that song, is that dance. Hashem is being Hashem. His light is shining. And guess what? What comes from that is creation. With the energy of Mimaleh, that now gets into the nitty-gritty details, because by Mimaleh, you care about the product. You need that song. You need that dance. You need those cookies. So you care about the product. So that's the difference, and that's the feeling tone of Mimaleh versus the feeling tone of Sovev. So of course, we've all heard of the terms Mimaleh and Sovev before, but maybe never exactly with this point that the Rebbe is developing here, by really showing how Mimaleh, like Havaya, is totally remote from the product that's coming out of it. While Elokim, Mimaleh, is like, I gotta make a world. We gotta get this world to be. We got a deadline here. We gotta get into the details. We gotta make it happen. So that's why Mimaleh is like the hislapshus, and Sovev, Havaya, is just being, allowing energy of God to flow. And guess what comes from that is this beautiful thing called creation.
What does that mean in terms of kalim? Are there any kalim in Havaya and Sovev, or is it just, yes, there are, but the difference in like how we relate to it?
Is there a kli? Not a kli that we would view as a kli, because the kli as we would view it is a kli where the emphasis is on the kli, and here the emphasis is on the or.
Like in your cooking mashal, she's still cooking. There's still our kalim, but obviously we know that Sovev is the Mila from all the, it's above all kalim.
So it's above, but from it becomes the kli. So the cooking, I really like the dancing and the singing one, just because they're like artistic and creative, and I think they express it more. But they're very creative cooks out there. Not usually bakers. Bakers have to be a little more systematic. But if you're thinking of cooking
Why?
is
Baking could be a creative thing too.
okay, fine. I have no clue. I've been a wife and mother for many years, so I should have some clues.
My sister's a chef. If the approach is baking and cooking very differently.
No, I was always told by people that are into it that like cooking is where you can be creative, and baking you got to follow the rules. But I don't know.
Oh, I see. Maybe.
I don't know. But
I don't follow the rules in either, so I think you're good.
And your family's still eating your food. All is good.
I always tell them, if they enjoy something, enjoy it, because you will never ever see this ever again.
You'll never see it again.
They'll know what I did.
Okay. So here's Yona Rivka. If you enjoy it, you'll never see it again. I don't care about what came out. I was just having fun. I was just expressing myself and taking a bunch of spices and throwing them in the air.
I got lost thinking, and I didn't know what I put in.
So some landed in the pot. Okay, who knows? So in that, is she focused on the kli? Well, there is a kli, there is a pot, there is a mixing bowl, there is food being produced, but it's very, like whatever. I'm just being a creative artist here. What comes, comes. So, of course, you're right, Leah, there is a kli. Creation does come from this, but from the perspective of Sovev, there isn't. There is, obviously. But from Sovev's perspective, there isn't. What Yona Rivka was saying before, that her teacher, she was quoting someone that said, don't translate Mimaleh as Sovev as around and within, because, of course, as Chassidus says, Sovev is no more around than Mimaleh. Obviously, they're both within. So the terms around and within are expressive of their perspective, the relationship. So from the perspective and relationship of Sovev, there's no kli. Of course there's a kli. Yeah, there is, but who cares? It's got nothing to do with the kli. I'm not focused on the kli. I'm focused on just being and just expressing my energy. And it happens to be that food is produced, a song is produced, dance is produced, worlds are produced. Happens to be. That's not my point. My point is just allowing my energy. So that's Sovev and that's Mimaleh. And again, Sovev is this Havaya energy, and Mimaleh is this Elokim energy. Mimaleh is Elokim because Elokim is the force. Elokim is the energy. Elokim is like production line. You know, think of it more like Western world, Eastern world, right? Western world, America. We care about product. We don't care about process. So Elokim is like the force, the koyach, the creation. I got to make this world happen. It's got to be. Mimaleh. We're being the slavish. We're making this keli happen. Sovev is Havaya. I'm beyond all that. I'm detached from all that. I'm just enjoying the process. And from the process, lo and behold, miracle of miracles, a world is created. So that's Elokim, koyach, Mimaleh, hislapshus. Havaya, beyond, remote. Yeah, there's something called time and space, but it's got nothing to do with me, so to speak. I am beyond all that. Sovev, I'm just expressing self. And from that expression of self, from that like Natias haratzon, from my ratzon turning in a certain direction, hey, creation's happening. Happens to happen. Because that's not my point. If my point was creation, that's Mimaleh. If my point is creation, that's Elokim. If I'm just in a process of self-expression, not really, so to speak, using the word caring about creation existing, that's Sovev. Again, I'm remote. I'm detached. That's why we call it around. Not because it's literally around. It's not literally around. But it's a perspective of detached from, remote from the product. That was sort of, I mean, there's a lot more details, but that's the point that was developed at length here.
It's very interesting because miracles come from Havaya, they come from above nature. So that's just something interesting to think about in this context.
Right. So a miracle is allowing us to not care about the rules, right? In that space of a miracle, we're going beyond the parameters, time and space, rules, teva. We're not caring about them. We're not focusing on them. It's an energy higher. And of course, we say Hashem in general doesn't want to have miracles. He prefers teva because creation is about hislapshus. Creation is about mimaleh. It's about being within, feet on the ground. But sometimes
That's so boring.
sometimes we let the higher energies flow. So now the Rebbe says, if you remember, we opened up this concept by saying, because again, our original question that we are somehow in the process of answering, that we sure don't have an answer yet, is why did we need in the pasuk both energies, right? Shuvah Yisrael ad Havaya Elokecha. And we said initially, and by the way, a lot more details than I'm giving. This is like overviewing this concept. Havaya and Elokecha, Havaya aseh tov, Elokecha sur meira. Havaya sovev, Elokecha mimaleh. Then we explained Havaya and Elokecha. We explained sovev and mimaleh. We explained why Havaya is sovev and Elokecha is mimaleh. Now let's plug that into Sormeira Aseh Tov. So generally, and this here also, the Rebbe did something. The Rebbe here in this mimer is taking concepts we know, but he's like tweaking them deeper than we know. He's revealing to us that what we know is far less than what really is. We know words, we know labels, we know terms, we know definitions. No, there's a lot going on here. So generally, we think of Sormeira and Aseh Tov as Sormeira, keep from bad, don't transgress a prohibition. Aseh tov, do the good, do the mitzvah. Sur meira, don't transgress the avera. Aseh tov, do the mitzvah. Sur meira, hold from bad. Aseh tov, do good. The Rebbe says sur meira really comprises not only
It's Sovev.
also ases. Ases and los ases are part of sur meira because ra, sur meira means turn from evil. Evil, ra, is anything that transgresses Hashem's will. So, of course, if you say lashon hara, eat milchix, explain your fleishiks, you turn on that light on Shabbos, well, that's a prohibition. That's ra. But if you don't give tzedakah, that's also ra. If you don't make a bracha, that's also ra. If you don't daven, that's also ra. Anything that violates Hashem's will is ra. So, like, don't be simplistic. Sur Meira encompasses all of your avodas Hashem. Everything, doing what you're not allowed to do, we traditionally think of as ra. But not doing what you're supposed to be doing is also ra, the Rebbe says. It's also violating Hashem's will. It's ra to gossip and it's ra to not daven. If you have a hischayvus to daven and you're not davening, that's ra. That's going against Hashem's will. If you're not supposed to gossip and you gossip, that's ra. That's going against Hashem's will. So in essence, our whole avodas Hashem we could call sormei ra. But if our whole avodas Hashem we call sormei ra, if our whole avodas Hashem we call sormei ra, what's asay tov? Sormei ra. You don't want to mess up. There's a box, and you want to keep the lines nice and clean. You have obligations, and you want to do your obligations. So I have an obligation not to gossip, and I have an obligation to daven, both of which are following sormei ra. So what would asay tov be? What's left?
Love, joy, passion, excitement.
It's not keep away from the aveira. That's sormei ra. It's not do the mitzvah. That's sormei ra. So what's asay tov? Rivka said love. What would that be practically expressed as? What would be the hischayvus of asay tov? How would we express it? What would be our asay tov if I already am fulfilling or not fulfilling all my mitzvahs and aveiros and sormei ra?
Your passion in
your
the
passion.
Hiddur?
Hiddur, passion, how you're, hiddur passion is a good way.
Simcha, Jesus in the Avodah.
Zerizus in the Avodah.
Simcha.
Simcha in the Avodah. You're all right. I mean, I'll generously say you're all right because you're bringing out the same point. The Rebbe has to use a different word, but it's all the same point. The Rebbe calls it, again, Shani said this is an Elul Tishrei Maimer. Keeping that in mind, let's think of a more Elul Tishrei word.
Shuvah.
Well, Shuvah is hischayvus. But along the lines of the simcha and the passion and the hiddur, what would we call it if we were in an Elul Tishrei space, like we should be, by the way, it's Elul.
It's Rakshas?
The Rebbe calls it Yegiya. How much are we going to be Yegiya? How much are we going to be Miyageya in the Avodah? Meaning, doing what I have to do, including doing all the positives, the Rebbe says is sormei ra. You're supposed to daven. I mean, a woman's supposed to daven twice a day. Shachar and Mincha. Open up the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. No, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to find that out. Okay, sorry. So it's not asay tov. The Rebbe is saying that's your hischayvus. Your sormei ra, because it'll be ra to not follow what Hashem wants. So then, where's my asay tov? So all the words you use are correct. It's the love factor. It's the hiddur factor. It's the rizus factor, and the Rebbe is calling it the yagia factor. How much you're miyageya yourself? How much do you squeeze yourself? How much do you push yourself? Elul Tishrei. How much do you push yourself in your avodas Hashem beyond what you're hischayef for? I have an obligation to fill in the blanks. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of things. And the Rebbe says, all that's sormei ra. What's asay tov? Remember, sormei ra is Elokim, is Mimaleh, is hislapshus, is creation. All of that's creation. You got to daven and you got to learn and you got to give stuff. And that's just a functioning world. Effort, yes, that effort piece is like not what I have to do, but how much can I serve you? How deep can I go in my service? How far can I go in my service? What can I do because I want to give to you with self? And in what area can I push myself beyond the requirements? You know, there's a lot of very nice religious people in the world who actually really know and do the law. And what's a chassid? A chassid is lifnei mishuras hadim. We sometimes forget that, you know. A chassid
I think the word that comes up is like wanting to do it.
Wanting to do it, but it's not enough just to want, because wanting could still be.
No, but wanting is like real will is what pushes you to do and put that extra effort, that extra.
Right. The want to have that connection to Hashem, that want to serve Hashem, that want which generates a bigger effort than would be needed just to put a check on my chart. You know, and all of us, you know, I mean, you know, Hashem has such a long wish list that, you know, we all can find different areas where our ratzon, so Stern is right, it goes back to ratzon, of course, where our ratzon has a venue, has an ability to express itself. That I could say, Hashem doesn't need me to make myself as crazy as I am, but I want to. Yeah, I like that how Journey's putting it. I want to. I want to give to you. I want to be with you. I don't want it to be like, you're trying to get your kid to do something. This morning, my husband saw me, whatever, walking a letter down the block to a neighbor. We got their mail. And he so surprised. He saw me walking inside the house, walking down the block. I said, it's easier for me to do this than to ask one of the kids. I figure it would take me faster to do it myself than to get somebody to do it. So sometimes our Avodas Hashem is like, okay, what do we have to do? How are we going to squeak by requirement? What's needed here? That's like the Sormeira. Gotta do this. All right. Hashem, you got a lot of stuff you're demanding from me. And the Asay Tov is like, how can I connect to you? Where can I fill a space that me and you are one? Where is that in my Avodah? What can I do that expresses, I don't have to do this. I want to do this. And that's like a really beautiful thought, because we'll stop at this point. They're really in the middle of a concept, but that's fine. But a really beautiful introspection point, very appropriate for Elul, of like, we're serving Hashem all day long. No question. Consciously and not consciously. We're doing it. We're living it. We're in the trenches, and then our whole life is Hashem. But within all the grind, within all the responsibilities and demands and distractions of life, where is there a space that it's about breathing and you're just being? You just want to be with him. I know I don't need to do this. I'm not confused. It's a hider, not from fear, but from love. People could be mahad there also, but it's still part of the Sormeira. You're just your guilty complex or your fear of this. This is like it's just that I want to give you Hashem. I want to be with you, Hashem. I want this space where we're one without any obligation. Just the joy of being with you. Like, again, what we were saying before, Rivka's just singing in her kitchen. It's just the joy of self, of expression, of creativity. Journey's just dancing. Janie's dancing. Me, I'm writing. But it's just the expression. It's just Hashem. I want you. Obligations, I got a lot of obligations. That's Mimaleh, that's Elokecha. I got a lot of obligations. But this isn't about obligations. This is about being with you. And how much can I push self to be with you? Because there's a yagia here. It's not just like airy, fairy, pretty. It really gets to the word yagia. Because all of that ratzon means I want to miyageya, I want to put out effort in a place where it's not necessary. I just want to have that relationship with you. So if I'm like feeling so good, but not really translating it lemaisa to pushing myself, it still isn't this asay tov. In the end of the day, asay tov means I'm pushing. I'm pushing past my barriers. I'm pushing past my limits. I'm pushing past the demands because I want to be one with Hashem.